Going slightly off the topic of food safety, we're going to be looking at health and safety, and it's a package called Safer Workplace, Better Business, which might have a familiar ring to it. I'm Steve Pepper, and we have got Patrick Mackey somewhere in the background, but I don't think it's having connection problems. I know David said he couldn't come tonight. Well, that's his logo anyway. He's been trying to join us. This is Judith. Judith, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Judith Hutchinson, and I'm one of the directors of HSF training. We do health, safety, food type training.
Right. Okay, and what have you been busy with at the moment, Jude?
Well, I've been working at Weetabix. I've been over in Ireland to do some work with one of the retailers there, and then numerous other courses here and there, councils and things like that.
Okay, and I'd like now to introduce Jennifer, who is Jennifer North from the corestrategy.co.uk. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do, Jennifer?
Yes, hi. Yeah, I've got a variety of hats. I undertake health and safety training and food safety training for the CIH, and I've been working a lot locally with a big meat packing firm, where I also undertake the staff catering. And then part-time I work as an NVQ assessor for a local college.
Right, okay. Well, let's go straight on with the presentation. And this is what the pack actually looks like. This is the
Safer Workplace, Better Business. I'm not going to try and go into too much detail. Rather, I want to give you an overview of what this great free-to-use resource is. This pack is for small, medium-sized businesses such as restaurants, cafes, takeaways, retailers. For example, independent shops and news agents, bed and breakfast establishments, small hotels, public houses, small care homes and offices. It's been developed by the Devon local authorities, who have worked with businesses to create a practical and easy to use pack. The pack is split into 5 sections: procedures policy, protection, good practice, records and extra care. The procedures policy section gives advice on the legal requirements and samples of the documentation you will need in your business, i.e. fire risk assessments, COSH, accident book, asbestos register, training records, maintenance and inspection records such as earth inspection reports, employer's liability insurance certificate and health and safety courses. We've also put together a very simple sample copy of a health and safety policy statement. Each SAFE method highlights a particular hazard or requirement. The safety point column highlights the things that are important to keep everyone safe in the workplace and details the legal requirements. The Y column tells you why the safety point is important. How do you do this column is for you to write down what you do in your own business. In some places you only need to tick a box, and in other places write it as one. Risk assessment. This is a very simple way of doing this. The title of the SAFE method will be the name of the hazard, i.e. refurbishment of kitchen or employment of young person as a case porter. The safety points are a list of controls that you need to put in place to keep everyone safe, i.e. how you separate the building works from the day-to-day business activity. It may include what additional training is required and what equipment will be used. Under the Y column tells you why the safety point is important. You need to explain how you ensure you put these controls in place in your business using the how do you do this section. The SAFE method may also be accompanied by a general introduction sheet or instructions, for example on how to use a specific piece of machinery. There are some easy to follow electrical and gas safety checks that are simple to use and update. There's even a simple to use fire risk assessment which is one of the areas that most people don't cover properly. The protection section covers the hazards you and your employees may face at work. For example, asbestos, working with chemicals, etc. It even has a step-by-step guide to Legionnaire's disease. It also goes on to advise you about your contractors, property maintenance, plus any specialist risk assessments you may need, for example, working at heights. The Good Practices section covers much of what the six-pack does, plus other areas such as lone working, violence and aggression and workplace transport. The Records section has standard documents that you can use to record anything significant to health and safety, including a yearbook, staff training records, incident recording sheet, somewhere to keep copies of your accident book. Lastly, this section covers the areas where extra care is needed. There are checklists for things such as radon, and gas safety in catering, mobile catering and outside catering. Again, these all follow the same theme, and if you currently use Safer Food, Better Business, then you will find this an extremely useful document. Many thanks to the Devon Health and Safety Subgroup and the Health and Safety Executive for putting together this really useful pack.
And I think that's about it. I don't know what happened there, but we've got a lot of popping noises. I don't know if it was Patrick trying to come in and come out, but I couldn't do anything about it from this end, I'm afraid. So, thoughts, everyone? What do you think of that one, Jude?
It's interesting. I've not sort of really looked through the whole lot of it, to be honest. And it's not. You were saying earlier, it's not particularly new, but it's not something that's been widely identified. I think for businesses doing safer food, then because it's in the same sort of format, it will be relatively easy to do, so long as they're doing it well. Quite a useful little tool.
Yeah. Okay. So, Jennifer.
I think it's excellent. I've used the Safer Food, Better Business in the previous business, and I'm thinking during that time to have something on the level of that for health and safety would have been ideal, because although we'd written our own policies, we had our procedures and risk assessments in place. Something like that is more generic and easy to use with your staff because of the colour schemes, and I think it's a lot friendlier layout than a lot of health and safety policies for a lot of people. So I think it's an excellent product.
Yeah, I mean, I've just uploaded this. It might be a bit clearer than the video, but I just wanted to sort of take you through some of the other details there. So the risk assessment, for example, on there is basically 3 columns, and if you look at the HSE one, this looks an awful lot simpler and easy to use. Yeah. One of the things that I was always told was on risk assessment that it is simple. It's about how people can get hurt and what you can do to stop it. And this more or less makes that point. And anyone who has struggled with risk assessment before would find that reasonably easy. But for example, how many small businesses can actually write one of these, a health and safety policy? I guess a lot would struggle to actually get that onto one side of paper, to get the policy statement there, let alone write the policy. What else have I got? There's records of training for there, and what you need to do if things go wrong. Accident reporting, first aid, and what do you do, and so a bit like Safer Food, Better Business, you just get to this bit here and fill the relevant bits in. Now, it's a pity that in a way this in PDF. It'd be absolutely great if it was in a different format that people could actually type in. I mean, unfortunately, I've got the means to do that. But let's just go down here. Vulnerable workers, for example, expectant mothers. It's really, really comprehensive. A colleague of mine for the local health authority, not health authority, for the local authority, said that they've been using it for a couple of years. He said there were a couple of small drawbacks, but overall it was really, really good.
Be interested to know what the small drawbacks were, Steve. Did he say?
Well, I have asked him, but I'm no doubt I'll have to wait until we do our next regional health and safety forum.
Right.
But let's just see what else we've got. Electrical safety, obviously. Now, the thing here is that it makes a point the importance of doing visual checks. Most people, all they do, they get the pat test around once a year, needed to know, and you know, if it's got a green sticker on it, it's safe, which is a nonsense. But particularly things that get a lot of use, like hair dryers, vacuum cleaners, drills, that type of thing, where you know, they can go wrong fairly quickly, and you know, say. The gas safety one I was interested in because I'm responsible for putting the mobile catering gas safety, which is a bit further down the document, for the Christmas market at Harrogate. And there's a lot of stuff in there that I wasn't particularly aware of, and now I'm going to have to go and do another look. The reason for that is that we had an accident in Harrogate about a couple of years ago where a burger van blew up. So they're very, very cagey about sort of getting gas safety right in Harrogate. Fire safety, again, that's something that people either don't do correctly or they're not sure about it, and to have sort of that sort of level of detail on fire safety, I think is very good. It seems to have dropped off from a health and safety inspector's point of view. It seems to have dropped off because they are no longer, since a fire safety order, responsible for fire safety as such. I'm sure they will pick things up if there were hazards, but I'm pleased to see that they've included fire safety in this. Have either of you two spotted anything else on there that you think is of use on there?
No, I went through it earlier. And I think it's a very comprehensive manual to use. So I don't think it's missed out anything particularly. I think only really within it has a section for redecoration. I wonder whether either to include, you know, whether when you're rebuilding or doing extensions, as well as including the word redecorating, because I think it could be a little bit subjective to people understanding how to use that section, you know, correctly.
Yeah.
And then they very little attention is paid to sort of like the use of signage and things. But then again, in sort of small commercial businesses, you wouldn't have a great deal of signage if your business is essentially sort of front of house with the customer.
I mean, for a small guest house or whatever, I mean, how many people in a small guest house would think to do a risk assessment for redecorating and refurbishment? I guess none of them would. I've never said, well, I struggle to see them on my training courses, let alone actually having any documented process. I mean, I guess in manufacturing, Jude, your customers will have someone who's responsible for health and safety anyway.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, they vary. People are better at it. My only concern is with a lot of these things, it's not really differentiating between really significant hazards and not so significant, if you like. So something like redecoration you'd do perhaps, I don't know, once every 2-3 years, whereas other things you're doing every day and are perhaps more hazardous. And I think that's perhaps my only criticism of this so far, is that they're not really distinguishing between the really significant hazards.
They haven't ranked them, you're right.
It's sort of, you know, there's things in there that are really, really good, but I don't, you know, it's like it's the old adage where people have a risk assessment for using Tipp-Ex, but the likelihood of anybody actually getting harmed on Tipp-Ex is minimal, and they leave the big stuff because they don't understand it.
I mean, the thing is sort of like the asbestos. We had a health and safety day down in Harrogate with some asbestos experts, and it was a very good session. And you know, it's even made me think about drilling holes in my ceiling at home, you know, and that type of thing. And it's just to see that range of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great that it's all there. And some of the things like work-related dermatitis, I think we just really don't think of in the food industry enough. Because obviously it's a wet industry, really. You're washing your hands, or should be, and dermatitis is a big thing.
Yeah, I used to have a friend of mine who was a chef. He loved the job, and he used to get dermatitis from flour. Would you believe?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Contact.
And he had to leave the industry, which was a real shame. So yeah, and think I've never seen in such a document things like an asbestos plan, like asbestos management type. It goes. The thing I like about it is the fact that it's accessible. It's simple enough for most people to be able to understand. And just scroll. I mean, there's a lot of pages in it, but it covers a heck of an area, and most of it, once you've done it, all you need to do is review it either on a regular basis or when things change. So there you go. Yes, that's your dermatitis on that one. But anyone watching this, as I say, just do a search for SWBB and you'll get the websites. Just make sure that you've got the latest version of it, because there might be some old ones floating around. Or you can email.
I think that's the only other worry about anything like this. How's it get updated, and how do people who have downloaded it know to get it updated? But I think that's the problem with anything.
Well, I got in touch with one of the authors the other day, and he sent me the link. And this one here is currently the latest one.
They're really good.
Yeah, I mean, he was going to try and join us, as was John was trying as well. But again, and David's been trying to get in on his mobile from his hotel down in London, but unfortunately, we won't let him in.
The trouble when you're somewhere else, it's sometimes really hard.
Yeah. How many people, for example, in a small business are even aware about health surveillance? They're not. And there's sort of even stuff on there. Legionnaire's disease as well, and doing plans and looking at the pipe work and whatever. So all the dirty storage tanks and algae and rust and dead ends like on a dead leg just there on that one, And I mean, I'm not an expert in Legionella, but I think that for any layperson reading this and looking around their own systems, and if they do it and spend some time on it, I think that really would help them get a good standard of health and safety. And then you've got all this sort of stuff, which is a lot of this is in the so-called six-pack, but you've also got things like violence and aggression, and staff working alone, and again, it's all policies and simple-to-use forms. I just think it's really, really good. Manual handling, working heights. What else we got in here?
Steve, at the start, does it tell you how to use it?
Yes, there is a section. But once you get into it, these sort of documents here, like this bit, are like the policy documents in Safer Food, Better Business.
Yeah, I was just thinking about sharing it, because you can have the best system in the world, but if nobody knows it, then it doesn't work.
I mean, it's got to be accessible by any staff.
Yeah.
And again, maybe one of the downsides is it's a lot of writing, and that may get lost by the time it gets through to the staff. You might have a very good piece of paper on the manager's shelf, but the danger is, of course, that if that doesn't get through. I mean, the way I would do it in a small business, I would probably get a section at a time and go through it one at a time and get people to understand that way and then revisit it. But I can't remember how many pages there are on this one. There are quite a lot. I think this section I quite like, where you can put down your fire service, your 6 monthly emergency light checks, your lift inspection, all the regular things that you need. Incident recording sheets. I mean, a lot of people don't have incident recording. They'll have an accident reporting, but where there's sort of a near miss or where something could have happened, a lot of people don't record it, for example. And although it just says here you should have fixed your accident book paper records here or direct them where they are. You know, and a lot of common sense and a lot of thought has gone into this. Staff training records, for example. I mean, yes, we've got them on Safer Food, Better Business, but how many people record the training they do for staff? And then, again, they've put a lot of effort into the last three on here, gas safety in catering, mobile catering, and outside catering. So I think, you know, and there's a damn good section on radon. In fact, I believe that Harrogate is actually quite a risky area for radon. I know it's always been bandied about. I'm even wondering whether or not it might be worth me getting my place checked out. So I don't think it actually cost me anything. I've just got to request it. And there, all these checklists, for example, for gas cylinders and hoses and whatever. So there's a lot of good, easy to use, simple to understand language in there. So there's not. I'm going to stop that one now. Let's just stop that there. And that. I don't want to bog people down with that, but my first impression certainly is a good one. Anything else you want to add to that, Jennifer?
I don't think so. I mean, the Safer Food, Better Business in itself, I think, is only a few pages shorter than this one. And I think if that's used effectively, the environmental health people love it. And I think when it was first introduced back in, I think 2006, I think it was, I know a lot of local authorities got local businesses in and encouraged them and showed them how to actually use the document to meet the new legislation. So I'm thinking really it is an onerous document in terms of the length. However, you know, in the time you need it, I think it's an excellent product.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen of it, that if I was a business employing a few people, say in a small restaurant or an office or whatever, if I had that completed and my staff, when asked, knew what it was and where it was and what the controls were, and I got inspected, or if there was an incident, then that certainly would give me an awful lot of confidence that I had things covered. What say you, Jude?
Yeah, I think, as I say, my only concern is that you can have all the documents in the world, but if nobody actually uses them, they're no use. It's the same with Safer Food, but that's the same with anything, isn't it? But yeah, it looks like it will meet your suitable and sufficient as far as risk assessing goes, which is what you need to be able to do to meet the legislation. How you fill it in is up to you, I think, and I think it's like Safer Food. The better ones are used when they're adapted to meet your needs.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
But you know, it's a great base because it gives people a footing and a way. Because starting from nothing's really hard. Starting from a base like that is really good. You can get rid of the bits you don't need, and you can add in extra bits. And I think it's a really good idea because the format's good.
Yeah, no, that's good. Now, I'll just on a more commercial matter, I have a little bit of an announcement to make. That on my birthday on the 15th of July.
You touting for a card?
I want a glass of wine as well, please.
A glass of wine, okay.
What's happening is I've actually finally bitten the bullet. For a long time, I've not been a lover of online learning, and I still think there are times and places when it's not appropriate. But I've actually partnered up with a video production company, and we've now got quite a range of courses, and some obscure ones like protecting vulnerable adults and children, of which are not what I would call mainstream. And from the 15th of July, we'll be able to offer these online. And I think they've got a niche. I think for people who can't easily attend a formal training course, or maybe the subject matter is something that is different, then this will be good. So it will be going sort of live from the 15th of July. I'll be putting details a bit nearer the time. We're currently working on the website to put in links. But from what I've seen, the standard is very, very good. As I said, I've seen a lot of dross out there. I've seen a lot of sort of death by PowerPoint type of presentations. and this isn't like that at all. So anyway, we're coming up to 8 o'clock. We're nearly finished. We've now got 3 viewers live, which is unusual. We normally get all our viewers on later on YouTube. So I've only got 2 now.
You mentioned it. Something you said,
anyway,
Steve.
Thank you very much to both of you. And it's your first time, Jennifer, so I'll let you sign out for us.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, thank you then. Bye-bye.
Okay. Judith, don't sign out because we're going to go to the green room when we're finished.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And hope to see you next month.
Okay, and it's goodbye from me. So I'm going to stop the broadcast here, and I'll catch up with you 2 in the green room. Cheers.
Okay, thank you. Bye.